This bill would mandate automatic disclosure of public employees' personal contact information to labor unions. That includes workers' home address, personal telephone numbers, and private email addresses. If Democrats are going to continue down this misguided path, the legislature should at least ensure these same public employees are aware of their rights under the terms of the United States Supreme Court decision from 2018. In the Janus decision, the Supreme Court determined public employees cannot be forced to join a union or pay union dues. Public employees deserve to know these rights, especially if their personal phone numbers and other sensitive information is going to be given to a labor union they don't belong to or don't want to belong to. This amendment would ensure that public employees are regularly notified about their rights under this Supreme Court decision. Supporters of this legislation have said it is needed so union officials can better communicate with the workers they represent. If that is truly the motivation, then there is a significant improvement that can be made. This should be a two-way communication. This amendment would make sure public employees know how to quickly find out their union representatives if the need arises. This amendment would require that public employees are regularly given the following information about their local union representatives: the local union contact's home address, the local union representative's personal non-work telephone number, their local union representative's personal email address in addition to their work email address, and the local union representative's salary. If it's okay for a union to be given a worker's home address and personal non-work phone numbers, it should be okay for workers to be given their union rep's home address and personal non-work phone numbers. After all, the need for communication might work both ways. On top of all that, if it's really okay for union reps to be told how much each individual worker is paid, it should be okay for the workers to be informed on how much their union officials are paid as well. This legislation goes much too far. It moves beyond reasonably assisting legitimate communication between a union and the employees it represents into an unwarranted invasion of privacy and potential misuse of personal information. We cannot forget that in the public sector, because of a United States Supreme Court decision, a worker has the ability to decide for themselves whether or not they want to belong to a union. That right must be respected. Personal information like this should not be released without the worker's consent, particularly if that worker has already decided to not join a union. Beyond that, this legislation has implications for all public employees and those who wish to become public employees in the future. It is one thing for a union to request reasonable, work-focused contact information for the employees it represents and then receive it from the employer. This already happens. But it is another thing entirely for state government to mandate that all public sector employees regularly gather and update this overly broad sort of personal information and give it to a union automatically. It adds a lot of work for school administrators, local government officials, and other tasks from this mandate from the state government. It discloses certain information that does not have to be and should not be disclosed. It also raises questions about how this contact information would be used. Would home addresses and personal phone numbers be utilized only in legitimate workplace matters, or would they be used to recruit new union members or even harass non-members? There are no safeguards in this bill to distinguish. Like the right to work repeal measures that came before it, I worry this legislation is driven more by politics than policy. There are processes that allow unions to gather certain contact information right now. Why mandate these additional and overly broad steps? This is another attempt to boost union membership and drive political donations to Democrat causes and candidates, which unions overwhelmingly support. State government should not be assisting this kind of effort, and I will be voting no.